Hello, dear friends, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Marina. Before we begin, please just let me know if everything is okay with the camera and with my microphone. Can you see and hear me? I'm waiting for your responses, so if anyone can type in the chat, please. I know there is a little delay between the broadcast. Okay. Somebody says, thank you so much, guys. Okay, so we are waiting 1-2 minutes for the audience because we have a very interesting topic today. Hi to everyone from everywhere. It's so nice to see you guys. Sunday, for some of us evening, for others it's morning. Hi Debbie. Hi Helen. Hi everyone. Okay, so I think that we can begin now. Hope you're ready. And today's topic is so interesting and so important. And by the way, I decided to make this webinar because there were so many people asking me about the aspects which I'm using. Because especially in my daily horoscopes, I often talk about semi-quintiles or semi-squares or septiles, and it turns out that many people are interested in knowing more about this. But that's why actually I decided to make this webinar, and there will be two parts. So today is the first part. We're going to talk about the basic things. I hope you understand, guys, that this is a very large topic. I know, I mean that there are many things that we should mention, so it's very difficult to say it only, in one webinar. And there will be another part where you can join. Basically, today is the free part. And in February, there will be another webinar. I will put the link in the description below. So if you save your seat for the next webinar during the next 5 days, you will have a special discount. So yeah, just check the link if you're interested to learn more about this. And today I will explain what we are going to talk about. Of course, there will be a lot of free information today, so it's not just an advertisement. I will share a lot of things today. I will answer some questions. So I hope you're ready. And the other webinar, I think I mentioned, so it will be on the 18th of February. It's again Sunday at the same time. I think it's 11 a.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. GMT time. So yeah, you can learn more about this if you follow the link in the description below. And yeah, okay. Yeah, I hope you're seeing me. Somebody says, should I be seeing you? I think that you should be seeing me. Yeah. Okay, so the aspects and why are they so, thank you. Why are they so interesting? Now, I think that first we have to start with the definition. Actually, what is the aspect? Because there might be some people who haven't heard about the aspects or maybe are confused. So let's be clear about this. What are we calling an aspect? Basically, the aspect is a concrete degree distance between two planets, which have a specific meaning and influence. And there are certain degrees which are important because they have a specific influence, and these are the aspects. There are others which don't have any influence, or here is something interesting, at least we don't know yet. There is a theory that every possible distance between the planets can mean something, can be kind of an orbis. For example, even let's say 27 degrees. Well, I don't use this as an aspect, but maybe it also has some kind of influence. Of course, astrology is a science which is evolving, so maybe someday we will learn more about this. But for now, I think we have enough aspects to work with, so it's interesting enough. Okay, so first, of course, it's very important to find out if you have certain aspects between a couple of planets in your horoscope. And I will tell you a secret, guys, that I'm working on a special software which will help you to get a clearer picture about all of the aspects in your horoscope. And this will be not just the regular birth chart calculators, because I will include all of the aspects that now we're going to discuss, which are more untraditional and a little bit more advanced. So it's not only about the trines and the squares, it will include all of the aspects. So unfortunately, I'm not really sure when it will be ready. But as soon as it is ready, I will definitely announce it. I hope you're subscribed to my channel. I will make a special announcement. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing if you're interested. You can also sign up for my newsletter, and I will send a special email where I will inform you about this birth chart calculator, so that you will be able actually to see everything that you need to know. Of course, if you're interested, I can tell you how exactly you can calculate these aspects, because as I told you, I don't know about a free chart calculator which includes all of these aspects that I will talk about. Honestly, from those calculators which I know, the best one is astro.com. Oh, I think it was like that. Yeah, astro.com. So this is the birth chart calculator, which can give you some of the aspects, but not all of them. As I told you, the advanced aspects are not included. The other thing which you can do is to calculate manually your aspects. And yeah, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who has joined us. How to calculate the aspects in your horoscope if you want to understand if you have some more specific aspects. Well, you have to know the exact degree of each planet in your horoscope. And you have to calculate basically the distance between another planet which you want to find out if there is an aspect. And I will give an example how you can do that manually. And guys, I know that it's very easy and we all prefer to use softwares. And of course, I always do this. But learning to do that manually can really help you to feel better everything, you know, the aspects, the astrology itself. So I always recommend you to learn first how to do something manually, even to calculate the birth chart manually. And after that, of course, in your daily life, you're always going to use the software, but knowing how to do it on your own can be very helpful in the understanding. So how to calculate the aspects manually? Well, you have to take the degree of the first planet. And you have to turn it into an absolute degree. Let me explain what it means. For example, if you have a planet in Aries and let's say it's the 10th degree in Aries, then the absolute degree is 10. But if you have a planet in the 10th degree in Taurus, the absolute degree will be 10, the number of your degrees, plus 30, because you know that one sign consists of 30 degrees. So in order to calculate this, actually I have written this, but I'm not sure if you will be able to read it very well. Let me show you. If you can see here this chart. I'm waiting because the broadcast has some kind of delay and I can't see very well if you can see this. But okay, actually you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. So if we have Aries, then the absolute degree is just the number of the degree of your planet. If we have Taurus, then you have to take the number of the degree and to add 30. For example, if you want to calculate the absolute degree of a planet which is in Cancer, you take the exact degree that you have. For example, 12 degrees in Cancer, you have your moon, you take 12 degrees, and then you add 90. And you can see this with all of the signs here. Pisces, for example, will be 330 plus the number of the degree. Aquarius will be 300 plus the number of the degree. Capricorn is 270 and the number of the degree. Sagittarius is, let me see, it's 240 plus the number of the exact degree of the planet. Then for Scorpio, it will be 210 plus the number. Libra is 180 plus the number. Virgo is 150 plus the number. Leo is 120 plus the number. Cancer, we already said 90 plus the number. Gemini is 60. Taurus is 30, and Aries, you just take the exact degree. So basically, you calculate the absolute degree of the planet, and actually of the two planets that you want to find out if there is an aspect between them. So you have a number, and here is another thing, that if you want to be really precise, you keep in mind that the degrees are not, I mean, they use minutes. So for example, 10 degrees and the next number can be, for example, 15, it's minutes. And 1 degree consists of 60 minutes. It's not 100. So consider that. You can also round up to the next degree. I also get questions like, for example, why is my software showing you the degrees rounded? For example, somebody have their ascendant in 10 degrees and 50 minutes in Gemini, for example. And in my software, it shows that the ascendant is on the 11th degree. Guys, this is something like the years and the centuries. For example, right now we are in 2018, and this is the 21st century. We are not in the 20th century. The same is with the degrees. If you have 11 something degree in, for example, Gemini, this is already the 12th degree. Even if it's 11 degrees and 1 minute, it's already the 12th degree. So yeah, keep that in mind. And there is no 0 degree, you know, 0 is the nothing. So if you have a planet on the 0 degree and 2 minutes, it's already the 1st degree. Just something I want to make clear. So anyway, now that we have the absolute number of the degree in our, somebody says it's so hard. Okay, I'm just explaining if you want to know how to do that manually. If you don't want to do it manually, you can always use the software which I will give for free, and you will have all of the numbers on your own and all of the aspects. It's not hard, really. I mean, it's really simple math. So anyway, you have to know the distance in the degrees, the exact number of the degrees between the two planets in order to define if there is a concrete aspect or not. And after that, you have a clearer picture. And here comes the next question about the orbises. So what is the orbis? The orbis is like the range which you have for certain aspect, because let's use one of the more popular aspects as an example. We can use the trine. The trine is an aspect which is 120 degrees. It's very simple, it's very popular, very positive aspect. But in order to have a trine, actually you can have a trine even if the distance between the planets is not exactly 120 degrees. And here the different astrologers use different numbers and orbises. And it depends on the planets which are included. Of course, in the next webinar, I will give you a table and I will include what I'm using. You may use it on your own. You can have your own preferences, of course. Everyone can have their own opinion. For the specific aspects, I use different orbises. And for example, you can have a trine if the distance between the planets is from 125 until 115. So plus minus 5. You are still in the trine. And this is true for all of the other aspects. You have, the orbis is like the range which you can use. And it's different for, as I said, it depends on the aspect and sometimes on the planets. For example, if we have the sun, we use larger orbises for the sun. For, let's say, Mercury, Venus, and the other planets, the orbises are small. And I can give you an example. I'm using more untraditional orbises. For example, the conjunctions of the sun, if they are applying, I use 17 degrees. If the aspect is separating, I use 12 degrees. And it might be a large orbis. Honestly, I was wondering, I had some doubts at the beginning when I started to learn this, but it turned out that actually it's really working. The sun is very powerful. It's the source of the light and our energy. So that's why we use bigger orbises for the sun. The moon also has larger orbises than the other planets. Of course, I will include all of that. Maybe I was thinking right before the webinar that I can make a post on my website, and I will give you guys the link for this, and there will be a table, because it will be complicated to mention all of the orbises which I'm using. I think that nobody's going to remember that when he hears that for the first time. So I will make I will publish a post on my website, and I will give you the exact orbises which I'm using for the different aspects and the different planets which are included. And as I told you, I'm using different approach. Basically, this is the Russian Academy. I'm a student of the Russian Academy, for those who are not aware. And of course, I'm teaching what I have learned there. Of course, this is something I'm doing independently, so I'm not using their name in any way. I'm just saying, which is the school which I'm using as a source for my knowledge and what I'm trying to teach you guys. So the orbises we already mentioned. Let me see. Okay, so next we need to, of course, there are different classifications of the types of aspects, and we are going to discuss that in details during the next webinar. In short, the first type of classification is, somebody asks if I'm Russian. No, I'm not Russian. No, but I understand Russian, so I have studied in the Moscow Academy of Astrology. Okay, so what was I saying? The classification. Okay, yeah, the first one is major and minor aspects. Which are the major aspects and which are the minor, and what is the difference? The major aspects are those which are more popular, and I think that most of you have already heard about them. Basically, they are the conjunction. Conjunction is when basically the two planets are almost very close to each other. Conjunction, then sextile, square, trine, and opposition. And these are the traditional aspects. I haven't met an astrologer who doesn't use all of these aspects. And they, of course, they are the foundation. And the major aspects, they have a stronger impact. They are more visible. Their influence is more specific. But we also have some other which are called minor aspects, but some of them can be extremely powerful as well. Here comes another thing. So, for example, the quintile, which is an aspect which I'm using and I'm talking about it very often in my daily horoscopes. The quintile is also considered to be a major aspect in the Russian Academy. The quintile is a 72-degree aspect. Also, some astrologers take the quincunx as a major aspect. In my opinion, it's not a major aspect, it's a minor aspect, but of course, it's very important. And we can say that all of the other aspects, okay, yeah, somebody in the chat just wrote the exact degrees of the major aspects. Thank you so much. Yeah, the sextile is 60 degrees, square is 90, trine is 120, and opposition is 180. Okay, and the next thing, as I said, is related to the minor aspects. And there are many different types of minor aspects. I will mention now the aspects which I'm using. Of course, if it's too overwhelming, as I told you, it will be included. It will be included in another post and in the next webinar. So, which are the minor aspects which I'm using? First, I use a semi-quintile as an aspect. I also use nonagon. Then I'm using, then we have semi-square, septile, the sextile we already mentioned. Then we have a quintile, binonagon. Then we have the square, centagon, trine, biquintile, quincunx, and the opposition. You can see how many, and the conjunction is the last one. So you can see how many aspects we can have in astrology, and they all have a specific influence. And they are divided in different groups because they have, some of them are similar and the others, you know, there are some of them who has similar characteristics. The groups of the aspects that we are using, first of all, major and minor, then we can divide it into, there is a group of aspects which is called karmic aspects. And here it's a little interesting because we can say that everything in astrology is karmic. So I think that in some way, all of the aspects that you have are karmic, but there are some who have, which have more specific influence. Those are from the group of the nonagon, binonagon, centagon, and septile. These aspects are considered to be karmic. What's specific for the karmic aspects? The karmic aspects, they can be, you know, they are more challenging. They are challenging aspects, definitely. And the other thing is that their influence is for a short time. So you don't feel it during your whole life. You feel it through part of your life, but the influence is stressful. That's the most important. Of course, each of them has specific influence, but that's the general for this group of aspects. The other group is the creative aspects. And here they are also called creative, which doesn't mean that you have, if you have these aspects, you're literally creative. It's just the name which is used for this group of aspects. And here we have the group of the quintile, basically. The quintile itself, semi-quintile, quintile and a half. I think I didn't mention this quintile and a half. This is 108 degrees. And the biquintile, 144 degrees. This group of aspects can bring you changes. This group of aspects is related to changes and also choices that you will have. And it's very interesting. Well, there is a spiritual teacher who is very famous in my country, and he says that these aspects, the creative aspects, if you don't use them properly and in a good way in this life, in your next life, they will turn into challenging aspects. They will turn into squares and oppositions. If you use your creative aspects in a constructive and positive way, in your next life, these aspects will be positive, like sextiles and trines. So the creative aspects are very specific. They're considered to be positive, they really are, but at the same time, it takes more power in order to learn how to control them, because you have some choices, but whether you're going to take the right direction or not, you're not forced to do that, and sometimes you can make a mistake. So a very specific aspects, and the orbis is very small for those type of aspects, which means that they're rare. They're not like the trines and the squares, which most of the people have. And for example, if somebody has 3 or 4 creative aspects, it's very much. It's really very much. So it might become difficult. I have seen charts with such indications, a few or more creative aspects, and it might become difficult for the person to use this energy properly. They can just life can be more complicated in some cases. But anyway, those aspects are very interesting, the creative aspects. Okay, and let me see what else do we have. And okay, I hope you have time for some questions, but please, guys, I will answer questions which are topic related. So we are talking about the types of aspects. So if you have some questions related to that, you can ask them. Then for the other questions, of course, we can make another live session. But today I'm answering only about the types of the aspects. So what else do we have? Then comes the next classification, which is, I think, the most interesting, and maybe it will be something which it's really advanced and not so popular. This is the classification on left and right aspects. And it's not complicated to define if your aspect is left or right. I will explain how you can do this, but it's definitely not complicated. And there is a difference if your aspect is right or left. And how to define that? First of all, you have to know the speed of the planets in general, which are the fastest planets and which are, the slower planets. This is something general, in astrology. So the slowest planet is Pluto. Then comes Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus. Then comes the Sun, Mercury, and the Moon. This is the order. So the fastest planet is the Moon, as you understood. Then comes Mercury, then comes the Sun, and then Venus. So you have to know which is the fastest planet from your couple. And you have to okay, so actually, let me use an example for that. Just a second, I will share my screen because I want to explain it. I will use the chart for today. Okay, now I will share the screen. Just a second. Okay, so you will see my, the chart here. I'm trying to show you how actually you can define even if an aspect is right or left, because they have a specific influence. Okay, so this is the chart for the current moment. So right now the moon is at the very last degree of Sagittarius and everything is as you can see here. So let's use this example. The sun, let me see. Okay, so the sun and Jupiter. The sun is on the 25th degree in Capricorn and Jupiter is on the 20th degree in Scorpio. And right now there is a sextile between those two planets. So how to define if this is a right or left aspect? First of all, you have to pick up the planet which is slower, which motion is slower. So of course, in this case, Jupiter is the slower planet. So imagine that you have a conjunction. Imagine that the sun is in conjunction here with Jupiter. So is the other planet, the slower planet, from the right side here or from the left side? Basically, in this case, this is a right sextile. If the sun was on the 25th degree in Virgo, it would be a left sextile. So, of course, I will repeat that again. It's really not complicated, as I said. Basically, all you need to know is the speed of the planets. Which planet is faster? So you pick up the slower planet, and then you have to define if the other planet is on the right side or on the left side. And basically, that's how you know if any aspect, and it's related, it can be applied for all types of aspects, and you can define if they're left or right. Okay, so I hope it was clear. Please, if you can write. I hope if you understand this thing, please write in the chat, guys, if this is clear, how to define left and right aspects. Great. Okay, thanks. Thank you so much, guys, for answering. I will repeat that again, but as you can see, it's not complicated. Okay, so what does it mean if you have a right or left? So the right aspects, they're more related to your inner world. So with this example, the sun and Jupiter, basically, if you have this positive aspect, it's related to success and some opportunities and luck, and basically this is a great aspect to have. If this is a right aspect, it's related to some personal qualities. So you are talented and that's why you will become successful. You are confident and that's why you will become successful. Basically, it's related to your inner qualities. And if the aspect is left, it means that the circumstances are more related to the influence is more related to the outer circumstances. So it means that with the same example, the sun and Jupiter, if this was a left aspect, it suggests that maybe you will find people who will support you in your life. You will be always in lucky circumstances, or not always, but in some cases you will have lucky opportunities. So it's more like the outer atmosphere. This is just the basic information and the difference between right and left aspects. And the left aspects are more like, outer things, which you cannot control. The same is with the challenging aspects. If you have, for example, a right square, it's more related to inner contradictions. Maybe you can't balance certain energies, but this is more coming from you. If you have a left square between two planets, it's more like, the outer circumstances don't allow you to do something, or you have restrictions or boundaries or whatever, but it's more coming from the outer world. So that's just the basic where we are starting from. And then we have all of the aspects we can relate to the influence of certain sign. And we apply this for all of the aspects, all of the minor aspects, all of the major aspects. There will be a table which I will share with you next time. And in this chart, actually, we are going to discuss each possible aspect, major, minor, left, right, each aspect, what can bring to you and which life areas could be affected. Just an example, we can take the conjunction. The conjunction has the influence of Aries, the 0 degree, this is Aries. So basically, when you have a conjunction between two planets, this is when the two planets and their energies are connected and you can do something. So you can do this for something constructive, basically the Aries and Mars energy. You can do something, you can be active. Basically, you know, these two planets are focused in the same direction and they can be used for action and doing something concrete. Then let's take, for example, the sextile that we talked about. Okay, the same sextile that I just showed you. Okay, so I won't share the screen again. I think it's clear. The same sextile that we just talked about between Jupiter and the Sun. This 60 degrees, this is the place where Gemini falls. If you remember this table, which I showed you. And in the next one, there will be a special graphic with all of the aspects and with what they could be related. So if you have this table here, Gemini has 60 degrees until the 90 degree. So it means that the influence of this sextile, of the right sextile, is similar to Gemini as an energy, which means that you can use this as some intellectual skills that you may have, or, you know, it may help you to be in the area of education, and you can be very well informed. So basically, we are using the signs as additional guidance how to interpret the aspects. And it's very interesting. As I told you, for each aspect, we can have a different explanation and, you know, a type of area which is related to this aspect. Now, now I want to mention something else which we forgot about: applying and separating aspects. It's something also, you know, important to keep in mind. What does it mean to have an applying aspect? Basically, this is an aspect which hasn't been exact yet. And of course, the separating aspect is the opposite. The separating aspect is you still have the right orbits, but the exact aspect has been in the past. If the aspect is applying, it's considered to be stronger than the separating aspect. And if you're interested in karmic astrology, they say that, for example, if you have a separating aspect, any kind of aspect which is separating, this is something which is related to your past life. For example, you have a separating sextile between the Sun and Jupiter. It means that these are some qualities that you have, you know, gained during your past incarnations. You have already worked in this direction, and that's why you have these, you know, skills. And the opposite, if the aspect is applying, this is something that you will be more focused in this life. So you have to focus in this area. You know, you have to, you know, it might take a little bit more time to use this energy, but at the same time, as I said, the applying aspects are considered to be a little bit stronger than the separating. Debbie asks, how do we know if it's applying or separating? Well, again, you have to know the speed. Let me share the screen again. Just a second, I will show you. Okay, we have the same example here. Between the Sun and Jupiter. Let's try to define if this is applying or separating aspect. Again, we have to know the speed of the planets. And In this case, we can see that Jupiter is on the 20 degree in Scorpio. This is the slower planet. And the Sun is on the 25th degree in Capricorn. Basically, these are 65 degrees. So this aspect has already been exact. So this is a separating aspect because the Sun is the slower planet. So when the Sun was at the 20 degree in Capricorn, there was an exact sextile between those two planets. And because the Sun is the faster planet, it's already moving away from this aspect. So that's why this is a separating aspect, because it has been already exact. Let's take another example. Here, the Sun and Venus, for example. The Sun is at the 25th degree in Capricorn, Venus 26 degrees. So this is an applying conjunction because it will be exact in the future. Or this one here, the Moon and Saturn. This is an applying conjunction because the Moon is at the 27 degree in Sagittarius, Saturn the 3rd degree in Capricorn. So this is an applying conjunction. Let me see another example. Okay, Venus and Mars, they are also in a sextile. You can see Mars is at the 23 degrees in Scorpio, Venus 26 degree in Capricorn. We have a sextile. This is 63 degrees. So we definitely have the needed orbs, but this is a separating aspect because Venus is the faster planet and it's already moving ahead. So the aspect was exact when Venus was at the 23 degrees in Capricorn, and after that this is a separating aspect. So it's not complicated to actually understand if you have a separating or applying aspect. And as I said, for each possible aspect, you can define if this is applying or separating. Please let me know, Debbie, if it was clear. Okay, you have written. Okay, yeah, separating means, yeah, moving away. So with simple words, applying aspect which will be exact in the future, separating aspect which has already been exact. That's all you need to know. Yeah. Well, that's why I told you. Somebody says it's a lot of information. Yeah, this is a lot of information. I'm trying to explain as much as I can. In the next webinar, we are going to talk about each aspect one by one. And I will include everything. And this will include also left and right aspects with the influence of which sign they are related so that you can understand. Another thing, I hope it's not overwhelming. I was trying, to give you as much as possible for free. And if you're interested, of course, you can join us for the next webinar if you want to go more advanced. If not, of course, it's totally fine. I just wanted to be more helpful and informative for you. But it might be a little bit overwhelming. If you want to learn astrology, there is a lot of information. So, yeah. And don't get afraid. I mean, it's absolutely something you can learn, you can understand. It's not, as they say, rocket science. So another thing I want to mention, which is more general about the aspects. The longer the aspect is, the longer the influence of this aspect will be. It's simple. I will explain. Let's say we take the quincunx. The quincunx is 150 degrees. This is an aspect which defines long-lasting situations in your life. If you have such aspect in your horoscope, a quincunx, it will bring some things which are, like life themes for you, repeating and long-lasting situations, because the aspect is long, 150 degrees. If you have, let's take one of the smaller aspects, the semi-quintile 36 degrees. This is an aspect which will affect you for a shorter time, but at the same time, the influence is a little bit more practical. So you can see kind of a immediate results. So the longer the aspect, the longer the influence will be. And here is something interesting. For example, the squares and the oppositions, one of the major and popular difficult aspects, challenging aspects. Well, the oppositions are aspects. I'm sorry, I'm just a little sick. My voice is, yeah. Excuse me. So the oppositions are 180 degrees, the squares are 90 degrees, both challenging aspects. But because the opposition is a much longer aspect, it creates situations which are very long. So you are constantly fighting against something and it's repeating, and it's just it might be all of the time. With the squares, because they are shorter, they take smaller place. The influence is more temporary. So, for example, some kind of transit or progression activates this aspect, and you face with those challenges, and you have to overcome something. Then there might be like like a break for you. So the longer, as I said, the longer the aspect is as a degree, the bigger the degree is, the longer the influence will be in your life. And it's just something fundamental which applies to all of the aspects that we have. Okay, so let me see if I have said everything I wanted to mention. Also something more general about the aspects, challenging and positive aspects. Is it okay to have only positive aspects or not? And yeah, many people, they think that it would be great if they only had trines and sextiles in their horoscopes. I have worked with many charts, and I will be honest with you guys, those with positive aspects are not always more happy than the other. And the reason is because the challenging aspects, they give you strength to fight with life's challenges. And I have seen charts with no challenging aspects, no squares, no oppositions. And these people, they can become lazy, unmotivated, and they may not achieve anything significant in their lives just because everything is, comes naturally, comes easily to them, and they're just not so motivated. And the opposite, people with many squares, many oppositions, especially if they're in a configuration like a tau square, like a grand cross, those type of people, they can have amazing results. On the inside, it might be difficult for them. I'm not saying that this is easy. They may always be unsatisfied. They may always, want to have more, achieve more. But on an outer level, as visible results, they may achieve more than those with only positive aspects. So it's really important. One of the basic things in astrology is to remember that nothing is only positive or negative. Every indication in your horoscope can be used in a constructive way. It applies to everything, to planets in signs, houses, aspects, positive, challenging. Everything can be used in a constructive way. So I think this is very important because when people, they say, well, I have a tau square, I will always have problems. I won't achieve anything. It's just not right. It's not true. Especially if you're more focused on business, on outer achievements, then actually this is better to have challenging aspects because they give you more strength. If you're focused on something softer like art, like creativity, in this case, yeah, the positive aspects can be more helpful. So it really depends, and it's really important to be able to analyze the whole chart. And it's probably the best if you can combine positive and challenging aspects at the same time. Because, or for example, if you have planets with challenging and positive aspects at the same time, it's probably the best possible case. because the challenging aspects will give you motivation and strength and power to overcome the challenges. And on the other hand, the positive aspects will help you, give you some opportunities, confidence, or support in some cases. So if you can combine both of this is the best case. Let me see if you have some kind of questions about the aspects or the webinar, or if there is something unclear, please type in the chat. Yeah, that's true about the challenges, definitely. Yeah, somebody says they have a yacht. Yeah, the yacht is a very interesting configuration. 2 quincunxes and 1 sextile. Well, somebody says what I can recommend. So on the next webinar, actually, we are going to talk about each of the aspects. So if you're interested in learning more, you can join us. You can find the link in the description below. In the next webinar, we are going to talk about one by one all of the aspects. Somebody asks if I work with Chiron. No, honestly, I don't. Probably it has some kind of influence, but there are so many things in astrology, and I think that somewhere we have to put the line. And there are many other asteroids and fixed stars and so many Arabic points, so many things. If you try to use everything, you can get totally lost. I use only the 10 planets, the most popular from the solar system. I use the black moon Lilith. Pars fortune also sometimes, yeah, it can be important. This is one of these Arabic points. And these are the, if you learn to analyze these indications, it's more than enough, trust me. Yeah, somebody asks about the quincunxes. In the next webinar, we are going to talk about this because there is a major difference between the left and the right aspect. If this is a quincunx, all of the aspects, of course, but I will explain because the left quincunx is related to the influence of Scorpio, and it could be really, really challenging. The right one is similar to the influence of Virgo. So if you have a left quincunx, it might be really tough, and you have to go through some kind of transformation, and yeah, something needs to die, of course, figuratively, and you need to transform something. Black moon Lilith. To correlate with loss and death, I would say that Lilith, but this is, guys, this is a different topic, so please let's try to focus on the aspects. I'm so glad that you have so many questions, and I promise I will make another live webinar. We're going to talk about your questions, like those about Lilith. So yeah, left quincunx, then this could be more challenging. Something needs to be transformed. The quincunx, I have made a video about the quincunx, but I think I haven't made it live yet. I'm not sure why. I have to make it live on YouTube. The quincunx is very interesting because it consists of 90 and 60 degrees. 90 plus 60 equals 150 degrees. So the quincunx has an influence similar to the square and the sextile at the same time. The first influence is more related to the square, which means at the beginning you will have challenges and difficulties related to these two planets which are included in the quincunx. If you overcome these challenges, if you fight, if you put efforts, basically the meaning of the square, then you can benefit. Then comes the influence of the sextile. which means that that's why the quincunx is so complicated, because the first stage, the first level is related to challenges and difficulties, the square aspect. Then comes the sextile, some positive, some support, some help, some luck if you want to. So that's the most specific about the quincunx. The other thing is that, as I said, the longer the aspect, the longer situations it brings. So if you have challenges, they are repeating, they are, maybe through most of your life, and you have to, it repeats until you learn your lessons with the longer aspects. Yeah. Okay. So we have some time if you have some questions, guys, about the aspects, the types of aspects. Somebody asks me about the birth chart calculator. Maybe you have joined us later. I already said that I'm working on that. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure when it will be ready. Hopefully in a month or two, but I can't promise. I hope it will be ready soon. And in this chart, in this birth chart calculator, you will be able to find all of the aspects. As I said, I will include everything, not only the popular aspects, but also the more advanced, which I'm using. And this software will be free on my website. So as soon as I have it, you will be the first to know that, I promise. Do the aspects have a geometric form in the chart? I'm not really sure of what do you mean, if you can be more specific. Somebody asks a very good question. Does it matter which planets are involved in an aspect? Yeah, of course, it always matters. It always matters. If the planets are similar as a type of energy, the aspect is more positive. For example, let's take the Sun and Mars, both fire planets. So they are, they're similar. There is a harmony between the types, between the nature of these two planets. And the opposite, for example, the Moon and Saturn. The Moon and Saturn, they're completely different. As what they are responsible for in our lives. That's why, for example, the conjunction between the Moon and Saturn is not positive, and sometimes even the positive aspects between these planets, like, for example, a trine between the Moon and Saturn, can make you again too controlling, of course in a softer way, but you may still have some challenges related to that. So it's very important to to pay attention on the planets which are included. If they're similar, if their nature is similar, the influence is more positive. The other thing is about the malefic planets. Yeah, those are Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and Mars. Especially Saturn and Mars. Saturn is considered to be the great malefic planet, Mars the small. So sometimes, yeah, they can bring yeah. For example, somebody asks about Moon and Venus. Yeah, they're similar. Their nature is similar. So especially if you have positive aspect between those two planets, it's extremely good combination, because they're both emotional planets, both related to feelings and connections, emotional connections. Somebody says, is the conjunction a hard or soft aspect? Or does it depend on the planets? Thank you, Debbie, for this wonderful question. It depends on the planets. As I said, for example, conjunctions between Jupiter and all of the other planets are beneficial because Jupiter is the great benefactor. Only with Mercury, the situation is so-so because Mercury rules the opposite sign. But even in this case, this is not a really bad aspect. So, for example, conjunctions with Jupiter are positive. Conjunctions with Saturn are mostly difficult because Saturn is a challenging aspect. With the outer planets, they are considered to be neutral, especially with the Sun. So in some cases, for some things, it's positive. For others, it's challenging. I only have, yeah. No, it's not. Why do you think it's challenging to have aspects with the outer planets? Between your sun and the outer planets? I wouldn't say that this is something bad. What about the house? Somebody asks, what about the houses they're in? The houses in which you have your planets are the life areas where you can experience those types of energies. So you, of course, you have to include that in your interpretation. For example, let's take this example. You have Uranus, just an example, Uranus in second house, which makes trine with your sun in in sixth house. This is a trine, which is a positive aspect, which means that you can be very original. You can be a very interesting type of person. You're interested in new stuff in the future. So basically, this is a great aspect, the sun in trine with Uranus. In which life areas it will manifest? Second and sixth house. This is finances and work. So in this concrete case, we can say that your work can be more untraditional. You may have even your independent, your own business. You can learn. You can think of very original ways to earn money. Some, untraditional sources of income. So you apply the interpretation. You have to make the connection with the houses where you have these aspects. They are always related. Is Pluto conjunction with the moon a difficult conjunction? Yes, it is. Yes, this is a difficult conjunction. The other thing which also is important, don't forget that the cusps of the houses can also make or have aspects with your planets. And in this chart, in this software that I'm working on, you will find that information as well, because it's always, important, and many people forget to analyze this. This information, you can find it so easily. For example, if Saturn is squaring your seventh house and your first house, it will bring some delays and challenges in your relationships, and you can, for example, get married later, or you may keep some kind of barrier between you and other people. So you always have to pay attention on the aspects between the planets and the cusps of the houses. Okay, so I hope it was helpful for you guys. This is only the introduction. I tried to make it as informative as possible, but as you can see, there are many things to be considered. There are so many types of aspects, and in the next webinar, we are going to talk about it one by one. So I will repeat again the aspects that I'm using and what I will talk about during the next webinar. And actually, we are going to count how many aspects we can have, so you can get a clearer picture. So first we have the conjunction, then semi-quintile. Before that, semi-sextile. So conjunction, semi-sextile, semi-quintile, nonagon, semi-square, septile, sextile, quintile, binonagon, nonagon, square, centagon, then quintile and a half, trine, biquintile, what else? Quincunx, and opposition. And all of these aspects can be left or right, except for the conjunction and the opposition. Conjunction and opposition is only can be only one. So you don't have right or left conjunction or right or left opposition. All of the other aspects can be right or left. And as I told you, they have specific influence related to the signs. Yeah, somebody says it's too much. Well, it is. Yeah, if you want to understand more of astrology, yeah, that's what you need to learn. Yeah, yeah, and as I told you, the other webinar is on the 18th of February, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. GMT time. There will be a recording for those who won't be able to join us live. You will always be able to watch the recording, and remember something or just listen it again. Yeah, somebody in the chat wrote, what did you I won't scroll back that. Yeah, it takes too much, and it's too hard. Well, mm, this is not the newspaper astrology. This is an advanced level. I try to start from the beginning. So even if you haven't heard about the aspects, I will give you the orbises and everything. But this is an advanced technique which will help you actually to understand things more in depth. So if you want to learn more about all of this stuff, you are welcome to join us. By the way, as I told you, if you save your seat during the next 5 days, you have a special discount. The other thing which is important, I will send you the links within 48 hours after you have made your purchase. If you don't receive an email from me, please first check your spam. Unfortunately, in some cases, those emails can go to your spam folder. If you don't find it there as well, please send me an email and we will solve the situation. Yeah, did I make a mistake with the time? I'm sorry if I have made that. I will definitely check it. I'm sorry if I have made a mistake. Okay. So, yeah, that's the most important for today. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you very soon. And as I promised you, I will make another live, and we can discuss your other questions which I wasn't able to answer right now. So, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you soon. If you have some kind of suggestions or ideas, you can also type that. I would like to make it as as more informative as possible. Okay. So thank you guys again, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.